Okay, folks, I'm back. We've got most of the meat browned. The second batch is just finishing up. As you can see, it looks great. Now, as I said, I'm going to go to the second part, and that's the vegetables. This is the easy part because it's already chopped. I chop them big because they cook for so long. They will cook down. You don't have to worry about it. You also don't want them to disappear, you know? We get those in there. I got one more trip, I think. Maybe two. Two more trips. There we go. Now the last one for now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give these a start. Kind of get them mixed in with the oil and all of that, because you want the water to come out of these a little bit too, because that's going to give you a better sauce. And how do you make carrots and celery and onion and mushrooms for that matter? You just add a little salt. Doesn't have to be a lot. This recipe is going to have plenty of salt in it as is. So I'm going to let them go for a hot minute. Now, this is the complicated part. Measure carefully. This is mirin. Whoops. It's rice cooking wine. The recipe calls for 2 tablespoons. So as you can see, I'm carefully measuring that it's close enough. Then a little rice wine vinegar. Same thing, 2 tablespoons. You could also add hot sauce at this point if you wanted to. And of course, because this is kind of an Asian style, soy sauce. Again, now I got a little bit left. I'll put it all in. One thing that's not called for in the original that I love is oyster sauce. And what this does is it allows me to kind of cut back on the salt later on. So we're going to give all this a stir. Get it good mixed up. Man, it's smelling good in here already. Okay. Now what we're going to do, we're going to zest an orange. This is a micro grater. I think that's what it's called. Most people do it like this. The best way to do it, well, I'm left-handed so it's easier for me to see, is do it with the thing facing up. And that way you can just go over it, you can see, so that you know exactly where you're going and you don't get the white, which is called the pip. So I'm going to take this one orange and I'm going to grate it, and I'm doing it kind of slowly so you guys can kind of see, but you can go faster if you're not doing what I'm doing here, which is trying to give you a real tutorial. Now all the oranges were washed. This recipe calls for orange concentrate, which sounds like orange juice to me, and I don't own any orange concentrate, so what's gonna go in is I'm gonna cut this orange in half and squeeze it. So it'll get its orange juice without it being a concentrate. It's mainly for the flavor. It's background flavor. You won't even really notice it's there, but you see how much is in there? And all you gotta do is dump it out. It's that simple. Cut my orange. Squeeze out the juice. These are navel oranges, so there's no seeds, which is really, really handy. Okay, and then the last thing that's going to go in this is a little bit of honey. About a teaspoon-ish. Like I said, you don't have to be exact with this stuff. It cooks for so long that it all just kind of blends together for you, which is perfect. And then finally, the actual last thing to go in is grated ginger. Whoops, hands are slippery from the orange. Grated ginger, and you don't want to get crazy with the ginger. There is such a thing as too much ginger, and it can be sharp. So, grated ginger. I need to rinse my hand off real quick. I'm going to give this all a stir. My oven's been preheating for an hour at 275. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take out the beef, the short ribs. Tell me that doesn't look great. I'm going to place them in. I generally put them bone side down. You don't have to. Any old way will do. And I've got a total of 8 of them. And like I said, these are going to shrink. When I take this off and show you guys, there's going to be at least, I'd say, an inch of bone, if not more, sticking out. All right, there we go. Now, what you do is you just kind of push these down into the stuff. And here comes the, oops, I forgot I have one. Now you have to ladle in the beef stock. And this has been going for a couple hours to give it flavor and depth. And I'm just going to keep adding it. Like I said, this is warm, which, you know, that way you don't lose the temperature of the pot. And I'm going to keep adding until I get basically the meat covered and all the vegetables. And once you get some water in there, these are a little easier to push down. Now you can also, if you don't have mirin or any of that, you can use sake. But I reckon if you don't have mirin, you may not have sake. Now, this recipe, the hardest part, like almost all of mine, is the prep work. There's, you know, chopping and, you know, peeling and all of that kind of stuff. But it's well worth it, because after that, this is going into the oven for 2 hours before I pull it out to stir it around. And then I'm going to add in the white parts of the bok choy and the white parts of the scallions. And then I'm gonna throw in some whole rosemary leaves. All right, so we've almost got this completely covered. I've gone through at least 3 quarts of stock. And it's important because remember, this is braising. It's important that you get this covered as much as you can. It doesn't have to be completely covered, but a typical braising method says only go halfway up the meat. In this case, going a little higher works a little better. All right, so what I'm gonna do while this goes in the oven for 2 hours is I am going to chop some bok choy, chop some scallions. I'm gonna zest another lemon for a garnish, and then that'll be it for me. So, Freddy Crocker out.